Good evening, everybody. Welcome sa live ko. Welcome sa page. Kamusta kayong lahat? Checking in on this Thursday. First of all, if you're catching me live, please comment below. Let me know that you are here at the live. And if you are catching the replay, I'll leave this as a replay. I hope you get the comment as well. And let me know na napapanood nyo yung replay. I thought I'd pop in today because I've been reflecting a lot I think the past few weeks I've been reflecting. And uh, I'm getting mixed, how can I say, I guess mixed experiences in life today, and I know this is gonna help someone. But what I find is this: I get into these processes where, and baka may makarelate dito. If makarelate kayo, type relate in the comment below. Um, when you are in a very emotional state, pag sobrang emotional ka, many of us need appeasement. Meaning, kailangan mabigay sa atin. I'm not saying this is good or right, but we have to be given something para mawala yung galit, yung frustration, yung inis, yung pagkairita. But for many of us, so many people have forgotten um, that for life to work in a way, I call it like working in a way where it's more wonderful to go through life. You're gonna have to realize, myself as well, that it takes taking responsibility in life. So, what's an example dito? I saw a post today about, always being offended. If you're watching this and you're a person who's easily offended, lagi kang na-offend with so many things that you're saying. Um, the insight was interesting kasi sinasabi nila na maybe you have created and this is just, I'm just sharing, you can comment whatever you're getting from this. Maybe you've created a life standard or life experience that it's very difficult for people and for life to meet the standard that you set para sa buhay mo. So that's why you're always like, this is wrong, should not be that way. But you're realizing, or maybe you're not realizing, that you're living in an imperfect world. So this is causing a lot of us to get depressed. This is causing a lot of us to be constantly angry and to be constantly, I guess, frustrated also. I mean, naka-experience na ba ng ganun? Like, you're going through life and reality is not matching up to your expectation. And you get triggered, and you're thinking, narinig ko din to kay Eckhart Tolle, where he was saying, when there is something that irritates us, naiirita ka about one thing, he asks, like, bakit ka naiirita? Why are you irritated about it? Then, a little bit of insight there is then you sort of like do some self-reflection and you, pag naisip mo talaga, like, makes sense. You get irritated or you get angry because you think your anger or your irritation somehow will solve the issue that you're facing. For many of us, take the money ni Tony Robbins, for many of us, when we get to a space where we're so angry, that's the only times we get certainty in life. Ibig sabihin, unfortunately, it's sad, but these are the only times na pinapakinggan tayo, people will actually pay attention to us, kailangan natin magwala, sumigaw, magmura, magwala. And it's sad because that's like batting average natin. We're not very good at getting people to understand where we're coming from. So our communication processes can be greatly improved. So our default is to become very reactive to everything that is happening in life. What's the struggle there? The struggle there will be, again, when you're going through life and you have an unrealistic expectation of how people should be treating you, how people should be behaving around you, or that people should think like me. People should process this scenario like me. I think especially in relationships, madaming, those of you who are going through relationship challenges, meron ba? You're like, yeah, my partner is not, hindi siya ganito mag-isip, they're not thinking like me, they should think like me. Simple lang naman eh. Ito lang naman yung nakikita kong sagot eh. But the way we're doing it, for many of us, we are bringing in shaming, we're bringing in judging and criticizing and alienating, and and then we're doing this to people that we say we love. We're doing this to people who we say we want to have relationships with them. Gusto natin mas maging matibay yung relationship. But yet, the actions that we're doing, and a lot of us miss, it's unconscious, meaning we're not even aware we're doing these actions. Hindi natin alam. The actions that we're doing are very hurtful to the other person. Nakakasakit siya dun sa tao na sinasabi natin mahal natin. And nagtataka tayo, like, why are we being drawn apart? Bakit kami parang naghihiwalay? Why are we drifting? Why are we going through this process where it seems that we're instead of growing together, we're drifting apart, lalo kaming lumalayo sa isa't isa, or we're that bond of connection parang na-break siya every time. Well, it's breaking because they have this system. It's like a reward and punishment system. Parang we call this your emotional bank account. Pag sobrang depleted ka na, parang we say that like lagi may nag-withdraw, may kumukuha lagi, and you're not replenishing it for yourself, then chances are you grow resentful. So sumasama yung loob mo about people that you are in relationship with. Well, number one, I think for many of us, it's because we're not communicating what needs of ours are not being met. So we all have, may mga pangailangan tayo bilang tao. It could be the need for to be heard, the need for support, the need to be loved, the need to be, the need for connection, the need to feel important. Sobrang dami. But we're not equipped as people to communicate our needs to other people. Hindi natin nasasabi. But nasanay tayo because of conditioning. Kung paano tayong lumaki, anong na-experience natin sa parents natin, anong na-experience natin in our past. We just got conditioned to reacting. And pag nasanay ka na nag-react a certain way, you're expecting people to pay attention because you're reacting. It doesn't always work. Because for many of you, myself included, again, it's a breeding ground for resentment. Meaning nakukuha mo nga yung gusto mo. But I like how this is framed in nonviolent communication. You're getting what you want. But are you getting what you want? And are people giving you what you want because they're coming from a space of love and joy? They joyfully want to give, or they're giving it because they're afraid of you. Natatakot sila sa'yo because they know if you don't give it that they're gonna punish you. And then I start reflecting, what kind of life would many of us want to live? Ano bang klaseng buhay ang gusto natin? For many of us, we don't want to live in a relationship or in a world where we're in relationships na we're being punished, pinaparusahan ka for whenever you're not meeting the other person's needs, or whenever you have an unmet need, and it becomes again, this is just so important to share kasi sa sobrang daming relationships, this is where sama ng loob, where it builds up, because we're not able to process it. But I think we're very good at making one thing. We're very good at calling people names, at giving them a judgment, making them wrong, and pag na-pronounce na yung judgment, I like this. I learned this today. Like labels are the pathways to self-fulfilling prophecies. Meaning, pag nag-label ka na ng isang tao, you could label yourself as well. I'm a loser, I'm bad. Pag once na nilabel mo na yung sarili mo or people around you, then what are the chances na magkatotoo yun? Because yun na nga, that's already how you see people. You already label them. So Wayne Dyer says, when you change the way you look at things, when you change the way you look at things, the things that you look at changes. When you change the way you look at people and life and God and yourself, then what you are looking at, it changes. But if you keep seeing yourself as a victim, as someone who has to struggle, as someone who has to go through life with difficulty, then you're going to notice it's going to be a pattern that's going to keep playing out for you, because you've already given yourself a label. You've given other people a label as well. And it makes it so difficult for us to meet our needs. This is, I don't know, for me, it's a self-reflection that I'm sharing because I felt it was very profound. And I know a lot of people, especially in the circles that I play around in, people are going through a lot of parang introspection. People are trying to understand life and life process and all. It gets very tricky. And it doesn't matter which age. Like I remember at 16, 17, even younger, I was already asking questions about life. Like, what is the meaning of life? And unfortunately for me, at 15 or 16, I was already reading the book of Ecclesiastes. And hindi nakatulong sa akin yun because it was life is meaningless. And that just made me go into this deeper, dark hole of nothingness for me, because this is the Bible and it's saying life has no meaning and purpose. Then you understand, but life has no meaning and purpose unless you start giving it meaning and purpose. For so many of us, I think this is the big shift. The big shift that many of us are not getting into is we're not changing the meaning and purpose of life for us. It's always, for many of us, it's always that I always have to see an enemy image of someone. Kailangan lagi akong may kalaban. Kailangan lagi akong may kaaway. Kailangan lagi akong may kabanggaan. Okay, there's always someone or something that I have to disagree with. And the ego identity that we all have, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Um, and and separation between us and other people, lalo siya nagiging, lumalaki. Like it becomes, we become more distant. And then we over process. This is another pitfall. We over process so much stuff. We overthink. I overthink. And kaya nga, whenever I encounter people who are in that process, I say, I know what that feels like. I know what it feels like to overthink a situation where kakaisip mo, if you guys have experienced it. And if you're commenting, I can't see any of your comments, so I apologize. It's the signal stuff. But hello if you're commenting. Um, you when you're over, parang let me expression ito, like you paint yourself to a corner. Like umpisa ka ng pintura, hindi mo na adjust yung, where you're supposed to start. You find yourself in a corner and it's all wet paint. I think overthinking does that, where kakaisip natin, we realize now we're in a corner and we can't get out kasi pag tumapak tayo, like it's wet paint. And the wet paint for me signifies parang it's lose-lose. There's no option that I can choose now. Well, because, and this is another revelation that I had today, because those parts of you and those parts of me that we don't like, those parts of us, for me, it's insecurity. For a lot of people, it's insecurity, but it manifests in so many different ways. Those parts of us that we don't like, it makes it very difficult for us to get to a space. So now we go into self-love and self-acceptance. It's so difficult for us to get into that space of accepting who we are. The good we can accept when we sound smart, when we sound good, when we're funny, when we're very charismatic. Natatanggap natin yun. But those dark sides of us that are, inherently part of our being, who we are, ito, we try to minimize it. And again, this is my self-reflection. And we don't like it. I don't like it because I feel, parang I feel the energy is constricted. It's like I don't like this feeling. And how do I get rid of this feeling? But I learned today that's never the answer. To get rid of something makes violence very makes violence look appealing. Diba? Parang, I want to get rid of you, tanggalin na lang kita. I want to get rid of that, tanggalin ko na lang yan. But it makes us turn into violent beings. But if I go dive into this thing, my insecurity, and I try to look at it, and I see, can I love, or your dark side, and I'll end with this. Can you look at your dark side and say, can I love this aspect of my life completely? Can I love it wholly? Can I love it unashamedly? And if you get to that point where sabi mo, like, yeah, this is the part that I don't like so much. This is the part that makes me want to hide from other people. But if you get to that space where you can love and accept it and embrace it and surrender to it, then it gives you, for me, what I'm experiencing now is, this is the peace that transcends all understanding, although there might be a little bit of understanding. But every time I get to that space of constricted energy, parang naglalaban, I'm realizing I'm fighting against a dark side. I'm fighting against something that is in me, that is not meant to be fought against, that is not meant to be pushed against. Hindi mo dapat siya labanan, but you're meant to embrace it instead. So pushing versus embracing. And I think therein lies freedom for so many of us. I hope this made sense to someone. It made a lot of sense to me. All the fighting and all the drama and all the anger and the frustration and the hatred. All we need to do is find that aspect of our life that we have been pushing against. Learn to accept it, learn to embrace it, learn to surrender to it. It doesn't mean you do stupid stuff or evil stuff, but it means that you're accepting that and taking responsibility for your life. God bless. Thanks for watching.